Hello, cubers. You probably all know how to solve a 1 by 2 by 3. However, do any of you know how to speed solve this thing? Today, I'll be going over my speed solving method for this puzzle right here. So let's get started. All right, now before we get started, here are some basic concepts you need to know. First of all, the proper orientation for this cube is vertically, like so. You can hold it horizontally, but for this tutorial, we're going to be holding it vertically. Next is the notation or the moves. And for the moves, it's very simple because no matter which way you turn it, it gives you the same result. So you'll need to know R for right, L for left, U for the top layer or up, D for down, and E for the middle layer. And finally, you'll need to know where the sides and the faces of this puzzle are. Now the face is the 2 by 3 section right here, the larger section, and the sides are the 1 by 3 sections on the sides. If you have colors on the top of your puzzle, they are irrelevant for this method. All right, now let's get into how you actually solve this puzzle. Now the first step is orienting the sides, and then after that, you solve the faces. Now before we get into that, here are all of the basic cases that you'll run into when solving the puzzle. There's the arrow, the D, L, square, solved, checkerboard, horizontal bar, and the I. Now all of these are in 3 different chains that basically tell you what a case will need to go through before it can be solved. So the arrow needs to become a D, then an L, and then a square before it can finally be solved. And for the L here, for example, it needs to become a square, and then it can be solved. But before you go through this entire process to solve the puzzle, you need to actually orient the sides. Now to do that, you'll need to turn it into one of these 3 cases: the arrow, the checkerboard, or the I. If you look here, the edges here are not oriented correctly. And if I put it into an I and churn these two, and then turn this back, you see all these are oriented correctly. Let me demonstrate that with the checkerboard as well. You can see here, moving this does not disturb the checkerboard, but it only disturbs the sides here. And finally with the arrow. So does not disturb the arrow, but disturbs the sides. So with this knowledge, you can basically plan out all the cases you'll need to go to solve this puzzle. All right, now let's go over all the proper side orientations so you can start planning out your solves. Now here we have most of the cases plus a few mirrored ones so you don't get confused. And so I'm going to go over real quickly all the different cases and how to remember the proper orientation. Now for the arrows and for the square, there'll be one bar that's misoriented on the top, like so. For the D and the C, there will be a diagonal swap that needs to happen, and there will be one wrong on the bottom where the dot is. So to put it simpler, you see the dot here on the left, there's a wrong one on the bottom left. The dot here on the right, there's a wrong one on the bottom right. For the L, there's basically a border of same colored edges. So as you can see here, there's like a border of edges. That's the correct orientation for that one. And for the checkerboard and horizontal bar, it's going to be a checkerboard. Let me show you this. You can see a checkerboard. Same with the bar. And for the I, pretty simple. Needs to be one color on each side. Now remember, again, the arrow, checkerboard, and the I, all 3 can be used to orient the sides correctly. So if one of these is not in the correct orientation, just go to one of these, whichever one is the fewest moves away, orient the sides, and continue from then on. All right, now let's go over a quick example solve. Here we have an L case, However, it's misaligned because we don't have that border of sides. So what we can do is turn it into one of the three cases here. I'm going to choose arrow. So again, you can refer back to the chain to know where to go. So we first need to go back to the dot, and then we go to the arrow. And now we look at the case here, get one bar misaligned on the top. Then turn it back into a dot, turn it back into an L. And remember, in the document here, I've included a few algorithms to help you turn this correctly. So if we look here, this is on the left side, so we do the algorithm on the left side. So like so. And with that, we've got this thing solved. All right, so let's go over another example solve, this time without the cheat sheet. So here we have a C or a D, if you rotate it this way, case, and the sides here are checkered. So what we need is, remember, a side here that is a different color than these two on the bottom right, because this is pointing right. So what we do is we turn it into the T case, fix this one. So now we have this one on the bottom right, fix it, and then turn the U layer to turn it into an L. Twist this one up to the other unsolved one, and then solve the cube. All right, now I'm going to do one more solve, this time with less explaining. So we have a misoriented T. So I orient the sides and then go through the chain here. And we're solved. All right, and that's it for my speed solving method for the 1x2x3. If you're confused about anything, leave a comment down below. And thank you for watching. Bye.